Thank you for checking out this complete broadcast from the Wrestling Epicenter archives. If you like what you hear, please hit the like button and the notifications bell. Also, consider subscribing. It really helps. And now, without any further ado, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on interactiveinterview.com. As always, courtesy of ProWrestling.com. Our special guest today, we're honored to present Magnum TA. Magnum, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're doing very good, very good. The fans have been asking for this for a long time, and the question that they always seem to be asking us is, what have you been up to lately since you left the wrestling profession?
Well, I have been involved in a completely different industry and line of work. I've been involved in the cellular communication construction industry since 1995, and it's been demanding, rewarding, challenging, all the things that, all the ingredients everybody needs to give them the motivation to get up and get out of bed in the morning and try to be successful. And it's been a very interesting twist because I never really imagined myself being in a full-blown construction-type business at this stage of my life.
Going back to a more wrestling-oriented interview, were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Absolutely. My earliest memories of TV, probably 6, 7 years old, were watching the old Mid-Atlantic wrestling with my dad, and every week, and seeing all the things going on back then, and growing up watching Johnny Weaver and Rip Hogg, Sweet Hansen, even in my teens watching Johnny Valentine and Walter McDaniels have a very fierce battle. So, I was a fan from the word go.
Who were some of you just mentioned some of your favorites. A question coming in from the forums from a guy named Rick Clark. He'd like to know if you played any sports in college.
I wrestled from the time I was 13 years old right up until the time I left college. And I was a state champion in Virginia back in 1977 and took third in the Nationals that same year. And, left college after my freshman year in pursuit of my professional wrestling goals.
Who actually trained you for pro wrestling?
Well, there wasn't a whole lot of in-the-ring training outside of what I did once I started. Buzz Sawyer was the one that actually got the door open for me, so to speak, and we worked out the ring, I think, 2 times before I had my wrestling debut up in Portland, Oregon, working for Don Owens, and it was pretty intense and pretty unique situation, but anyway, it wasn't a formal training like you hear guys in modern times going to schools and all the things that people do trying to break into the wrestling business.
On and off the air, you and Dusty Rhodes seem to have a pretty close relationship. What is your relationship like with Dusty now?
For the fact that we're completely in 2 separate entities of the world as far as our occupations. I mean, he still dabbles in that end of the world, and I don't. We probably talk every 3 to 6 months. We stay in contact on the telephone, and we don't see each other as much as either one of us would ultimately like. But I mean, that is a bond and a friendship that was established back in the early '80s, and something that's still very special to me today.
Do you remember the first time you met Dusty?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I had come to Florida Championship Wrestling under Mike Graham and Eddie Graham, and they had brought me in there, giving me an opportunity to continue my education in the business, so to speak. And Dusty wasn't there when I very first came in, but he came in later, and we started traveling together and just struck up a very unique friendship and a bond that lasted throughout the years.
Did you hear that in a recent edition, I guess it was about a year ago, of NWA Total Nonstop Action, the pay-per-views, weekly pay-per-views, he actually mentioned you in a promo when he was starting a feud with Nikita Koloff. Did you hear about
really? Well, that'd be very appropriate in as much as that was Nikita's kind of his transition to a fan favorite from a villain back when I had my accident. He and I, of course, had the Best of 7 series for the U.S. Heavyweight title back in those days, and it was certainly a very heated feud, and when I had that untimely accident, they turned him over as a tag partner for Dusty. So I can see where that might have been brought back up in some storyline or means of conversation.
As you just touched on it, what is some of your memories of that best of 7 series against Nikita Koloff?
Well, I've told this in the shoot interviews I've done and whatnot. Nikita and I were head-to-head back when he was very young in the business. He was probably had been in the business maybe a year and a half or less at the time, and Nikita was kind of a challenge for me because it was my first opportunity to be the veteran in the ring in a main event type situation, and he was very charismatic and a lot of incredible physical talents, but didn't have the experience to be what we call a ring general. So it was pretty much up to me to make sure the match stayed on tempo and the thing went where it needed to go. And we had quite a few matches that went in excess of 30 minutes, and we were able to excite fans to pretty heated frenzy. So to me, that whole series of matches, looking back on it today, was kind of like my graduate school study, where I really felt like for the first time I was really in a position to do anything I want to do in the business, because I felt like if I could have great matches with someone that young and inexperienced, that I was in a position to go to the very top and do whatever I wanted to do.
Now, listener GSU Panther wants to know that what's information on when you was in the height of your feud with Ric Flair over the World Heavyweight title, you were apparently photographed in a bar having a beer with him. Were you and are you still close to Ric Flair?
Yeah, Rick and I have always had a very mutual respect for each other, as well as most professional athletes, not unlike people that line up in front of the gridiron hitting each other in a professional football game. You can, in the heat of battle, have a lot of emotions and a lot of strong self-feelings when you're in the middle of a feud. But I always had a respect for Rick. I had watched Rick in the 70s before I ever got in the business in 1980, and it always had a lot of admiration for him. And certainly we were very heated competitors, and I felt like were it not for the fact that I had a untimely exit from the business at only 27 years old due to that accident I was in, I would have been able to unseat him from his position of dominance with the world's heavyweight title. And so yes, we went through some pretty heated times, but not nearly the heated times I had with some of my other adversaries.
Another adversary would be Butch Reed, and you wrestled him in Mid-South for the North American Championship several times. Any memories of wrestling Butch Reed?
Oh yeah, Butch was just an absolute tremendous competitor, and had the same kind of intensity that I brought to what I did in the ring. And I really that was my first big one-on-one singles title type challenge that I remember, with a lot of pride. The heated battle that he and I had that went very long periods of time, very physical. Yet something that taught me a lot about the business, and I still have a lot of respect and a lot of admiration and good memories of Butch Reed today.
And speaking of the North American title in Mid-South, Andrew MacDonald wants to know that you and Nikolai Volkov battled for that title several times. Do you have any good memories of that feud?
Oh yeah, and Nikolai was someone who was had been a big star for many years prior to making my way into the main event, and just an incredible athlete. My gosh, one of the strongest men I've probably ever come in the square circle with. And though he wasn't maybe the charismatic of a Tully Blanchard or a Ric Flair or other people that I can think of, he was tough as nails, and for the most part, even though he was not a fan favorite back in those days. He was just a straight up tough guy, and you had to have your hats off to a guy 300 pounds in shape like he was, and to have the kind of intestinal fortitude to compete on the level that he did. He was somebody that I still remember as quite a competitor.
Two past guests, Jake Roberts and Shane Douglas, shared very different views on this next guy. What are your feelings and impressions of Bill Watts?
Bill Watts. Wow. Bill Watts, very, very astute businessman, someone who was a wrestler, who went on to become a very successful promoter, very driven, very opinionated, and a lot of times we laugh and joke, talk about like the class of '84. I've heard guys say back when the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express and myself and Terry Taylor and all the guys that were there when that territory really popped, and had its some of its biggest houses of all time. It was like working in a pressure cooker, because Bill always he felt himself this ultimate teacher, that he really wanted to bring young talent up and make stars out of them. But he was one of those personalities that you either found out how to exist with him and coexist and be successful, or you absolutely couldn't stand him. And he had kind of type A type personality, and it was something at that stage of my career and my professional endeavors. It was quite a learning experience, and I'm grateful for it. But as I developed and became a main eventer and a seasoned veteran, you didn't have the patience for his attitudes and for his boisterous comments and his demeaning things that he would do and whatnot, and you wouldn't tolerate it and wouldn't have to. So as a young guy coming up, it was kind of a part of the red badge of honor, or courage, I guess, so to speak, in working your way up through the road. But people like people who had made it and who had really gone out in the world and been successful would not have put up with the attitudes and the whole mindset that Bill was so famous for. And that's why he was successful in that little world that he had created there in Big South. He found young guys that had not made it big, and created stars out of them, and he knew the psychology of the business as well as, perhaps anyone. He grew up studying under Eddie Graham, who was just an absolute genius, as did Dusty Rhodes came up studying under Eddie Graham. So there's a lot of good, solid backgrounds there, but as far as the style, it will only work with young guys. Veterans would never put up with it.
Absolutely. How would you compare Bill Watts to Vern Gagne?
Well, I don't know Vern personally the way, I worked for Bill for a year and a half, so I've got a lot of heads-up, hands-on, time and experience with Bill. Vern, I've heard stories about, talked for hours with people like Ric Flair and Ole Anderson and, folks who spent a lot of time with him. I think in terms of success, I think Vern was a much more acclaimed athlete and legitimate athlete in the things that he had accomplished as an amateur and college and football and things that he did. He was a true sports hero, whereas Bill was such a student of the game. He made his claim to fame totally in the wrestling industry, and they don't have the same background.
Right.
So, so I can't compare. It wouldn't be comparing apples to apples. I worked for Vern a couple times. I wrestled in a big show at Comiskey Park, the last big show, outdoor show they had there before they tore that stadium down. Ric Flair and I wrestled out there in a big deal. As a matter of fact, the last time I saw Kerry Von Erich live, and that group of people back in 1985. So I can't give you a real fair adaptation with comparing the two because I don't have as much experience with Bernie.
What are your memories of the late great Wahoo McDaniel?
The Chief was just a complete classic. They really broke the mold when they made him. The things that really endeared myself to feeling passionate about wrestling as a teenager was watching just the brutal battles that he had with Johnny Valentine that I mentioned earlier. And I just admired the physicality that those two men exhibited in their contests in the ring, and later, having the opportunity, coming when I came to Mid-Atlantic, working for the Crockett's and being involved in, a series of matches with Wahoo McDaniels and going on to beat him for the U.S. heavyweight title in Charlotte, North Carolina in a steel cage match is something that will always stand out to me as a real highlight in my career because it was someone I admired greatly. I think he's probably the greatest Indian athlete of all time, a real man's man, an outdoorsman, someone who had a tremendous passion for life and for the wrestling industry and great endeavors in amateur and professional football. And kind of had him hand me the torch, of the U.S. title, and to have been involved in what I consider to be probably his last great single one-on-one match is something that will always be very special to me.
Many times in the NWA, you seem to be carrying double duty, feuding with the Russians and the Four Horsemen. The Russians were known for more of a more brawling style, and the Horsemen were more technical. Which style did you enjoy working more?
Well, honestly, at one time, especially wrestling with Rick, there was a lot of, it was more technical wrestling type deals. Rick did have the background and did know the moves, and it was very much a skilled deal with him, and as it was with Tully Blanchard and a host of other people. But really, towards the end of my run there in '86, almost everything I'd been involved in were turning more into just battles.
Right.
And the drop kicks and wrist locks and arm drags and all those things were almost the exception rather than the rule because things were so heated that there was just such an animosity of things going on, and we were so heated trying to claw our way to the top, for that world title that there was a lot of very intense brawls that took place. And I enjoyed the technical wrestling type match. I won't say that I don't there, but the fans just go nuts over the brawls.
Right.
I mean, they go absolutely crazy over them. And so, us being, human beings, we try to give people what they want. And, that's what they want, that's what they got. And I didn't see it ever changing. And I was, and I'm watching what's taking place today.
Right.
With the, the high flying and the acrobatics and the things that go on. I mean, those are really neat little things, and they're exciting to watch in different parts of the shows. But the things that people still talk about today are, the Hell in the Cell and the high-impact cage matches and the brutality of things like I went through in the I Quit match, and that's what people remember out of all the little cutesy, flips off the top and all that stuff. That's great, but, it's more acrobatics, and it takes skill, and it's, and it's something certainly to be admiring of, but, people remember the feuds, the animosity, between two competitors, and sitting there on the edge of their seat, feeling like they're watching two people just beat the crap out of each other.
Good point. Do you watch the business regularly anymore, or?
Well, I don't follow it the way I did years ago. I did follow it pretty heavily for several years, but I mean, being a business owner and having other responsibilities, I mean, I'll still watch it, flicking through the channels, and there's still people there that I, enjoy seeing, if The Undertaker's out there, or Steve Austin, or Eddie Guerrero, or, oh gosh, the Wolverine.
Chris Benoit?
Yeah, Chris Benoit. Guys that I know come kind of from the old school that have paid their dues, that can, can take it on any level. That I have a lot of time and respect for, and I'll still watch that and get a chuckle out of it. I don't like watching, some of the stupid stuff and the things that they do just for entertainment, because I don't think it's, appropriate family entertainment.
Right.
It's just the stuff we were watching 11 o'clock at night, and it's only adults to do one thing, but, things that I appreciate as an adult, I don't want my kid watching.
Right.
And that's the part of it that, I think we used to leave a whole lot more to the imagination than what they do today.
Right. Well, that's true with a lot of things in society, which is...
Yeah, it's not just, and exactly, and I don't blame it on wrestling, because wrestling has always been a direct reflection on what the public, where they're at, as far as their views, their morality, their likes, their dislikes. All wrestling has ever done is given people a mirror image of whatever it is they want. And so it's where we're at. We're past Generation X. We're in Generation Y now. Everything's evolving and changing and moving on. But, I'm glad to see, guys, come back and still show that, guys with talent and who understand the psychology of the business, can still go out there and entertain the people. And it doesn't have to be somebody, catapulting out of the ceiling with their hair on fire just to make them, just to excite them.
Well, exactly. Let me ask you this question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what do you think of guys I don't know how to put this politely, but of Ric Flair's age in the ring?
Well, the thing is, and I can't imagine, and I'm not ever going to say, oh, I would never do that. I mean, Rick's 10 years older than me.
Right. And my hat's off to him for the simple fact that he's physically capable of doing what he does. Mm-hmm.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Shawn Michaels.
Right.
But, he's on the tail end of his deal,
Right.
as far as where, as professional athletes, or entertainers, whatever you want to call it, would envision ourselves to be. I don't blame them, because there's money to be made, and they're still a step above everyone else, and they can still do it. But where do you find that graceful exit?
Right.
To having had a great career, be able to look back on it fondly. Do you want to be, out there, looking less than your best, and not remembered, in your prime and in your peak.
Right.
And we're such a visual world today that, there's just no way that a, 50-year-old man is going to be able, that's gone through all the stuff that we put our bodies through, is going to be able to look like a 28-year-old.
Exactly.
That's in the best shape of his life. Can you outwork him? Can you out-wrestle him? Yeah, maybe you can. But it's not, for me, it's not the way that I want to be remembered. But let me just say this about that. If I'd never had the accident, and if I was out there making millions and millions of dollars, and still being the adrenaline junkie for the crowd that I was, and just thriving on the pop of the crowd and performing, could I turn it down? I don't know. So I'm not gonna, sit here on my high horse and call the kettle black, because I don't know what I would do in the exact same circumstance.
Exactly. You mentioned your crush several times, and this will have to be the last question for today. First of all, will you come back to join us next week? Because we would love to have you on for more.
I'd be absolutely glad to. Exactly.
The final question is about your crash. What can you tell us about the accident that took place that ended your career?
I haven't said, before. It was a freak thing. I was 5 minutes from my home. Car hydroplaned on a really heavily rain-soaked road, and lost control of it, and I was running about 50 miles an hour, and just driving down a road I've driven down 1,000 times before, and fate was not in my corner. But but the fact that I survived it, much less overcame the odds, and was able to walk out of the hospital get back to be able to take care of myself and be ambulatory again is nothing short of a miracle. And I'm very thankful for that every day. We'll never take that for granted ever again, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, once again, we always say to the guests we're honored to have them on, and I really want to say that for many years I've been a fan of yours, and I do consider it an honor to have you on the program.
Well, guys, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. So nice to be remembered. Wrestling fans are the most loyal fans in the world, and I'm just honored to have been a part of the business and something that's made such a mark on so many people.
Hey guys, it's Tessa Blanchard, and you are in the Wrestling Epicenter.
Welcome back to the Magnum TA interview, and this was conducted a couple months ago, but guess what time it is, Daniel?
What time is it?
Actually, guess what there's no cure for?
What's there no cure for?
The Summertime Blues.
Oh, I didn't bother trying to sing it.
Yeah. Alice Cooper wants, the lead singer of that band is a male, but his voice is so high that Alice Cooper actually suggested that we nominate him for Female Vocalist of the Year. Okay. I actually like that song. I haven't bought the CD, but at the end of this show, I'm going to actually play that song. So.
Oh, how fresh and current and up to date.
Okay, cool. So, SummerSlam was last night.
It was.
Yes, didn't you not see it?
I did, of course I did.
Okay.
Did I pull?
Alright, well, let's run it down, because I got a couple of things I want to say.
Go for it. Starting at number 1.
What did you say? Number 1 was the Dudley Boys against...
Boys and... and Spikes. Okay.
Well, yeah, so I guess the 3 Dudley Boys, you can say. Against Billy Kidman. Whatever the hell the other... Paul London and Rey Mysterio Jr. I feel bad for Paul London.
Why?
He comes out, nothing. He's trying to get the crowd interested, just nothing. No reaction at all. I felt bad for him. But then again, you can talk about that crowd being terrible all night.
The crowd was absolutely awful. I seriously think if Paul London was to come out at the crowd, in front of the crowd that was at WrestleMania,
right, then
he'd get a pretty good reaction. Because quite clearly they were a very internet-driven crowd. Since they knew about Goldberg leaving, they knew about Brock Lesnar leaving.
Right.
So, I mean, the internet's probably London's biggest, market as such.
Right. I really don't know what you would say about their reactions to a lot of people. But I do know, I have my theory on why they acted the way they did. And this is what I talked to you online about. If you really take a look at it, Canada slowly is approaching a tailspin. They're starting to not really be able to decipher what's right and wrong. And last night, the heels were getting cheered, and the faces were getting booed. And in reality, they say wrestling mimics society. Well, what does that say about their society if the bad guys are the good guys and the good guys are the bad guys?
Let's see. That's not going to be a very popular comment, but...
Well, JC is probably not going to like it, but I get the feeling he's not listening anyway, so... Yeah. So, yeah, that match was alright. No big surprises or anything there. Although it looks like, and this is my suggestion, since we lost Hawk last year, and since Spike apparently is going to be the mystical force that drives the Dudley Boys, I say we get out Rocco, the wooden dummy, and we make Rocco wrestle Spike and see who the best tag team of all time is.
Rocco?
Yeah. Remember Rocco, the Legion of Doom's little dummy guy that rode to the ring at SummerSlam on the motorbike?
No, not particularly well.
He came to the ring and what the hell was that guy's name? I can't even remember his name. Shit. Paul Ellering. Paul Ellering made him talk.
Oh, with SummerSlam?
Yeah, 92.
What?
He came to the ring and it was like, he talked like, Hark! Hit with the clothesline! It was pathetic. Yeah, but apparently the Legion of Doom, 2 big brawling guys, were flipping out because they couldn't find Rocco, their wooden dummy. Yeah, that's great. But I still think Spike versus Rocco would be the best way to decide who the best tag team of all time is.
Well, I mean, at the moment they seem to be pushing Spike because obviously, like you say, the leader of the gang.
Right.
But they're doing it in obviously a kind of way where the Dudley Boys are kind of saying, yeah, you're the leader. Like, you know, with kind of...
Sarcasm, right.
Exactly, major sarcasm. And it's like, he's always saying, they're portraying it as him taking it deadly seriously and then taking it as a bit of fun.
Mm.
But, yeah, I'd like to know where they're going to go with it, because they put the belts on London and Kidman.
And I think that's actually a good move, because the Dudley Boys have had the belts about 6,800 times. I mean, once you get the belts that many times, does it really matter if you win or lose them?
No.
Right. So where are we at now? What was the next match on the card?
The next match was it Kane and Matt Hardy?
Was that the second match?
I can't clearly enough.
I want to say that it wasn't, but I would probably be wrong if I did.
Well, let's talk about that one anyway.
Well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the concept.
No, definitely not.
I mean, first of all, let's put this into life's perspectives, okay? Let's try to put a little psychology into wrestling here. Suppose that you like a girl and this other guy likes a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And he beats you up so badly that she agrees to sleep with him so he doesn't beat you up anymore.
Yeah.
In that time, he impregnates her. But she pretends to, or she still loves you. So you agree, let's have a fist fight, and whoever wins gets her. Whoever wins gets to marry her. I don't know. Doesn't sound really, you know.
Realistic.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like something off my favorite soap opera, As the Stomach Turns.
I mean, perhaps if, you know, if it was maybe, you know, Hawk against Animal, for example.
Right.
Complete example. Because they've got history together as, you know, a unit.
Right.
At the same time, that kind of thing. It just doesn't make sense that, you know, it would be proposed, you know, Matt Hardy versus Kane, that everybody agrees, yeah. I'm sure everybody agrees that, you know, Kane and Hardy are not exactly physically matched, so, you know, putting them two together and everybody agreeing, you know, with Lita, Kane, and, you know, obviously Matt Hardy agreeing to this stipulation just seems, you know, like, why would it happen? It wouldn't happen in real life, you know. They'd say no, because I'm not gonna, like, you know, possibly sign myself up to getting married to someone I don't want to get married to. It's not a real life situation. But then again, of course, I don't think you'd see people like the Hurricane and, you know, Eugene and...
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would, but they'd be in like a padded room. I mean, with all due respect to the Hurricane, he's a great worker, and unfortunately, I don't know if the WWE will ever give him his due. That character is just friggin' stupid, but okay.
I find it quite funny. I think it's quite funny. It needs to do something with it now.
They need to revive it because it's dead, basically.
Yeah. But,
I mean, I haven't seen him since he dropped the flare, so I don't know if he's doing anything with Velocity or Heat or whatever. But okay, where were we?
yeah.
Well, going back, still on the Kane thing. Tell me if anybody else noticed this. When Kane is stalking down the aisle after Lita, what the hell was up with the way she ran?
I didn't notice it, no.
She, like, shook her head and ran like a girly girl. That's not her. You're a female wrestler. We've seen you do things that are insane. You don't run like that. It just looked ridiculous. I couldn't help but laugh my ass off at that. And Kane, you know, you saw Kane when he's laughing, and you're thinking to yourself, I bet I know why he's laughing. He just saw her run.
Problem is that, now of course with this having, you know, Lita being portrayed as the innocent victim, she can't be, you know, the innocent but really, really strong victim. She has to be the girly girl victim. So
Right.
I'd assume that'd be why. And, you know, if that is why, then, you know, she'd done her job and that was, you know, good characterization. But
It still looks... you still think of her as tough, though. I mean, you don't see a girl with a tattoo like that on her arm and not think she's tough. You know?
Sure.
That said, I think I'm going to Submit the idea to the WWE that I was the one who impregnated Lita. Simply because it's just been too long
Maybe
for me.
you submit the idea to Lita that you are the one that impregnates her.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be, that's an easy way to get around it, because then, there's a real storyline to work off of.
I'm sure whatever the hell, Garowitz or whatever the hell his name is, would like the angle. So. Alright. Well,
record it and do like a Thursday night special or something.
Right.
Of the impregnation of Lita. Exposed.
Yeah, on the Spice Channel or whatever the porn channel is. Great.
Spice.
I'd be up for it. In more ways than one.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, with Hardy now being out for 6 to 8 months, with knee surgery, I don't think there was any real way that he could win, unless in the case of he wins and they sail off into the sunset, and they keep Lita off TV for 6 to 8 months or whatever. But
And they come back with a kid, which could have worked, but
yeah,
now you're gonna have her being stalked by Kane for the next however many months.
it's just a case of Stacy Keibler with Test and Scott Steiner at Mark II. But this time, instead of having them have the option for either Lita or Matt Hardy to turn heel, Hardy's obviously injured, so
Well, these triangles don't work. I don't really enjoy
it
them.
doesn't work with Christian and Chris Jericho and Trish. That one worked, I think.
Yeah, that worked, and so did, going way back, I thought Randy Savage and George the Animal Steel with Elizabeth worked for what it was. But other than that, these things, I don't enjoy them, because probably because I've actually been in a triangle before. And, you always sympathize with the guy out, young man out.
They're getting boring, basically.
Yes. So where were we? What was the next match on the card? Did we talk about Edge and Jericho and Batista? Was that the second?
Slightly further on the card. You're jumping ahead of yourself.
Okay.
The next thing was the promo. Randy Orton cut his promo and John Cena.
The only thing that did was foreshadow the fact that Orton was going to win. Because if you did that and you lost, you got shown up by a guy on a different brand and lost his match.
Yeah. I don't think people really, I don't think the fans that were there were really looked into it that far. I think only guys like you and me would look into it that far.
Right. I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, that's not good for Benoit. But, but, the fans were just stupid, that's all I can say. Well, we've already talked about
let's not hyper on the let's not harper on the fans, because,
they really did, they sucked the life out of the show.
Everybody else is going to be talking about the fans, so
okay.
That's it. Dead issue, I think.
Okay. What was the next match?
It was John Cena and Booker T.
Yeah, good match. I'm actually surprised Cena got the win. Because I figured Booker would get the win, and they'd hold off the 5th match and final match until the next pay-per-view, and then Cena would get the win.
Yeah.
So, you may get surprised and Booker might actually come out with a belt at the end of this thing. I think it'd be stupid if they did that, but who knows?
But yeah, I don't mind that match. It's not bad.
Not bad.
Not looking forward to another 4.
Right. They're not like Benoit and Booker from 98 WCW, where they were like the best of 7 and nobody wanted it to be the end. They had great matches. Unfortunately, Cena and Booker, they just don't have the same chemistry.
Yeah.
What was next up?
Next up was it the Intercontinental title?
I believe it was, yes.
What's wrong with that?
Well, all I can say again is the fans sucked the life out of it.
Yeah.
They seem to be keeping Batista out of it, and I think if you're going to foreshadow anything, that could mean they're actually going to put him on SmackDown, since they put that. If they're going to end Evolution soon, what are you going to do with Batista on Raw?
Yeah.
Similar, what are you going to do with him on SmackDown? But SmackDown needs as many interesting characters. The only problem is, and I was thinking about this as well, they have a lot of big guys that aren't really defined, and I don't know if they really need another one. So.
For example, Orlando Jordan.
Right.
Although I think she's a good way to get him on TV.
Luther Reigns, another big guy. Who the hell else they got? Whatever Heidenreich on debut. Right. He's sort of defined though, at least.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, yeah, that three-way, the crowd reaction, again, let's not talk about it, but obviously, I imagine Edge wouldn't have been too happy with that. I imagine that it will once again give them some food for thought, because that's the second country now that Edge has received a very negative reaction, because of course he received that kind of reaction when he came over to the UK. So that's food for thought for them. He returned, probably the best outcome, I think. Batista doesn't particularly need a belt at this stage.
And Jericho seems to me that he's above the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're not pushing him in that vein that he is above the title. So, oh well.
I think Booker T should be above the US title in SmackDown. But because if you think about it, I mean, John Cena can be pushing above it soon enough.
Right.
Rob Van Dam, that's about the right level for him. Charlie Haas, yeah, that could be about the right level for him.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing for Haas, because he's not quite at that level yet.
No,
So.
he's mixing the matches with some guys that will bring him up further. I mean, Shelton Benjamin, he'll be that sort of level when he comes back. He's now back from a broken hand, should be returning to Raw, tonight or next week or something. So,
No, that's good. It's good to hear Shelton's back.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, now we got to get Christian back,
Yeah, definitely.
because he was on the fast track to something good, and then
Him and Shelton were, they were rocketed through.
and they both got sidetracked pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What was the next
Matt Hardy, as they start to actually use Matt Hardy, he gets injured. So,
All right.
yeah. So,
He put on a great match, though, Hardy. I mean, he worked hard, and he reminds me of Savage in the way he works. Well, let's see what happens. In 20 years, if he flips out and starts doing rap CDs,
Yep.
then you know that they have a lot in common. Okay.
But, what was the next match?
I would say it was Kurt Angle against Eddie Guerrero. I'm going to be hated for this, but I just did not like the match.
Did you know?
I didn't like their match at WrestleMania, and I didn't like this one. I just don't like their matches.
I must say, at this point, I didn't see a hell of a lot of this match, simply because I was playing poker at the same time. And just to kind of set the scene, I was in a poker tournament, where the first prize was $4,500, leading down to ninth, which was $253. That's if you got to the final table. There were other prizes as well, but let's forget about that. 228 people started at 10 PM my time, which is 3 hours before SummerSlam started, and I was still playing at this point during SummerSlam.
Wow.
That's how long I've been playing for. There were, at this point, 9 people left on the final table. And obviously the money goes up for each person eliminated. So I was kind of, engrossed in that at that point. Just for anybody who's listening, I finished 6th.
And how much money did you get?
$575.
Wow, not bad.
Which was quite nice.
Which is enough to pay for SummerSlam, except you don't actually have to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. We get it free.
Great. You could send me $30. Okay, where were we now? Where were we?
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw of it, I liked. People are saying that it wasn't long enough.
It might not have been long enough. I just thought it was really... It seemed to me like the bell rang and they were both going for their finishers instantly. And maybe that has to do with it being not long enough. I just personally don't think they have the chemistry together. I was not impressed with the WrestleMania match, which everybody seems to think was a classic. And I still didn't like the match.
Classic, it was a good match. I think it was a good match for the year. It'll go on like a lot of, top 10s of the year lists.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really wasn't that crazy about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like both guys. I think Angle is not the next Bret Hart. That's the only thing I will always point out to people. But at least I like what he does. And Eddie, you'd have to be stupid not to enjoy what he does in a ring. But I just, for some reason, don't get into their matches.
If you didn't like it, then let's put it down to the fact that Eddie isn't 100%. He's got a dodgy hamstring, and Kurt,
fresh off an injury.
Exactly. So he's been told to keep his schedule light in terms of no high risk maneuvers, that sort of thing. So
right.
Maybe if they clash again sometime later this year or early next year, or maybe even the next pay-per-view.
Probably, since they don't seem to know what the hell else to do. Yeah. Let's see, what else? What was the next up on the card? Shit.
What's the next? Is it me or was the next segment Diva Dodgeball?
Could be.
I think it was.
Okay, and the crowd final. And that's one time that the crowd actually booed the right thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I couldn't believe it. And what's painful about it all Is Carmella still there? Don't get me wrong, I think she's the hottest.
Let me just say, I think, because I read a report just before we did this recap, just before we started this. Apparently, what happened was Carmella told WWE earlier in the day that she had a prior arrangement, which meant she would be available for it. But of course, that segment was obviously a recorded segment, that went on before the pay-per-view. And so obviously that was, pre-recorded. And she wasn't available for it. So Coach and the announcers were all told specifically not to mention her by name, and just say that obviously one of you's been cut. And apparently if she doesn't turn up tonight, then she's not. So, that's all lay down on that. Well,
she's painful to watch. She's just painful.
Jazz actually suffered a legit injury during that. Probably she twisted.
How the hell do you get hurt playing dodgeball?
Unless you get a ball in the nose.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I played dodgeball for years, and A, I was good at it, but B, how do you get hurt playing dodgeball? You're getting hit with a foam ball, for Christ's sake. Oh, God. Sorry.
We had dodgeball in the UK, so I didn't know whether it was foam or what, so. If it's foam, then yeah, I know. She tweaked her shoulder while trying to move out of the way, so.
Great.
It just kind of basically do absolutely nothing.
Well, yeah.
Basically. It's provided to, maybe a few people bought it just to do that, but I doubt it.
Well, it's for the horny teenager audience, and unfortunately, that seems to be a bigger part of the audience than any of us realize, so, well.
Oh, yeah, that's gone and out of the way now, so...
Okay, what was next?
Looking forward to the end of this venture. $250,000, very well spent there, Vince.
Right.
But, of course, now the two remaining matches are the World title matches.
Right.
First off, starting with SmackDown. JBL versus The Undertaker. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on The Undertaker against JBL. Well, first of all, the internet trashes it. I read a lot of reviews, and I've yet to see many positive. I've seen a couple positives, but most people bash it. That furthers my point that the internet does not understand, appreciate, or like big men matches. That said, we're talking about a shot Undertaker and a JBL that the internet, for some reason, just really, really, really does not like. So, in all honesty, I thought it was an okay match. Fair. Nothing too spectacular. I thought the ending was fairly weak and a little predictable. You kind of could figure out that he was going to get DQ'd.
Yeah. I mean, I figured it out pretty much when the belt came into play. I thought, DQ ending.
Yeah, and that's a shame because people pay money, Save the DQ stuff for Nitro. I always say Nitro these days. For Raw or SmackDown, because people pay to see a winner. I mean, it goes back to a remark Jesse Ventura made many, many years ago during a pay-per-view. People didn't pay to see a count-out. People paid to see a winner. And that goes the same with DQs. People didn't pay to see a DQ. People paid to see a winner. So, what can you say?
True. And I mean, but by the same token, I suppose you couldn't have every single, match on every single card, on every single pay-per-view, ever not have, some sort of twist to it in the long run.
Well,
for a DQ probably should be happening in the title match.
Right.
But I suppose it always,
well,
especially not on one of the big pay-per-views like a SummerSlam or whatever.
It would have helped JBL more than it would have hurt The Undertaker had he actually gotten a clean win. Or at least a win. That said, I guess everybody that thought the Heidenreich character, whatever the hell that's going to be seen, everybody that thought, well, that's the way they're going to tie it in with Paul Heyman, apparently not. I guess they just really dropped it completely. Have mercy on me, and I guess he did, so.
I thought he was going to debut, and then he didn't, and I was like, well, why?
Yeah, he should have made the save, and that could have been the way they tie in the fact that they just completely ignored the fact that they never did anything with the Paul Heyman feud with The Undertaker. But, oh well.
I was just really, really confused, because, Paul Heyman, did a promo on SmackDown this week.
Right.
And it said John Heinrich, and he kept going on about it, whatever. And he said, SummerSlam is only 3 days away. Wouldn't that be a good time, you know, and did that? And I was like, okay, then surely, you know, he'll come out at SummerSlam or something, and he didn't, and I was just like, what? So I thought, there's no way he can come out at any point after this match, because it then turns into, you know, Raw, finish it off, type thing.
Right.
So, you know, really confused me.
Yeah, and you know, Michael Cole, give him credit. He made a great call in covering for the fact that the roof of the limo was obviously cloth.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, he went through the sunroof." No, they were trying to make that look like he actually fell through the roof, and it just didn't look good enough. So.
Did you hear about the fan?
What fan?
Basically, a fan ran across, jumped the rail, and started to jump up top of the limo before that spot during the match. Because if you watch the match back,
right,
you know, it's a few things. Obviously, the thing that you pointed out a minute ago, you noticed the fact that after the match, Undertaker goes for a big phantom sort of punch and completely misses.
Right.
And you notice that during the match, obviously, they're doing the Mexican wave, which is quite disrespectful anyway, but you know, whatever. And for no apparent reason, just randomly, they just pop. No.
Yeah. And even Taz says the idiots are screaming or whatever.
Yeah, and that was for the fact that a fan had jumped over and jumped onto the limo.
Did he break the roof or go through like he was supposed to?
No, he didn't, luckily, but could you imagine if he'd have gone through the roof?
That would have been really, really, really bad for that spot.
Oh, yeah.
That would have killed the spot. That's like the Raven-Sabu ending of the last, the pay-per-view match, where Raven was going to go for a DDT off the top,
yeah.
And he took a step back. I don't know why he did this. He took a step back onto the table, and the table crunched. So, like, he DDT'd him through an already broken table. And, it, you know, give Sabu credit, he made it look real because he dove, like, on his freaking head. Like, right on the top of his head, so it looked convincing enough to be a finisher. But it was not what they were going for. And the spot was really blown. So, you know, when you see things like that, you just start to wonder, that would have really killed the spot. But, yeah.
It would have just, well, looking back on it, probably would have been a plus, because obviously from the first time around, it didn't look that bad, but then they replayed it, and then...
You could see, like, a cloth or something. I don't know what the deal was. It looked really bad.
I mean, that was not, you know, a regular roof type thing.
Right. It obviously caved in way too easily.
Yeah. Definitely.
I thought the body slam on the hood looked more convincing than that, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That looked sick, and you had the blood on the roof, which looked hideous.
I think that it would have just been better if he'd have just got up on the roof and tombstoned him.
Right.
Onto the roof normally, rather than, you know, putting him through the roof.
Right.
Well, if he'd tombstoned him through the roof, that would have been very quality.
Yeah, that's true.
But hard one to do.
Well, I guess what you can foreshadow now is that at the next pay-per-view, I guess it would be Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Is that a SmackDown?
I'm not 100% certain, actually.
I actually think it is a SmackDown.
Yeah, but the way, apparently, because originally obviously the entire calendar was published in the WrestleMania program.
Right.
But then apparently what is published in that program now relates differently to what is what they're saying on WWE.com. In that I think it's the last pay-per-view of the year, Armageddon, I think. Or whatever the last pay-per-view's name is.
Right.
It's listed as one in the program. And this is something different on the website, so...
Huh. Well, we'll have to wait and see what's the next...
tonight on Raw. Yep, this isn't on our pay-per-view. Or until they say on SmackDown, yes, this is our pay-per-view or whatever.
Right.
Don't take anything.
Well, it would make sense for it to be SmackDown because the best of 5 would finish up at the next pay-per-view between Cena and Booker. That's why I thought it would be that way.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the next? The next match was the main event. That was a shock.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Well, first, let's talk about one spot in that match that made me cringe. Benoit doing a diving headbutt off the top, and Orton having his feet up. That just looked and sounded sick. It looked really, really good.
Yeah.
He might have actually gotten hurt on that one, because it looked too good to be fake. It looked painful. But yeah, and the finish I was absolutely stunned by.
I know, it was just like, it just came out of nowhere and he hit it.
And you're thinking, oh, he's going to kick out at 2. Or... 1, 2, 3? What the?
I just couldn't believe it. But, yeah. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a positive, actually. I've been thinking about it, since it happened. I think it's good. I think it'll last terribly long, but I think it's good.
I don't think it's going to last long, and I don't know who he's going to drop it to. My fear is that he's going to drop it to Triple H.
Yeah.
And I think this is good, because now you can take Evolution and split them up now.
Yeah.
And I would do that. I'd have Triple H go up to Orton and say something like, you got my belt, or something like that. Eventually feud them. Orton would have to turn somewhat face.
Yeah.
For that. I would not turn him into a complete baby face. I would just make him sort of a tweener, right? And I'd put Flair as Triple H's manager, because Flair should not be wrestling. And anybody that's seen Raw the past couple weeks can easily see that. So make Flair a man. Yes. Available in the archives. You can see that. You can see that Flair shouldn't be in the ring. And I'd actually probably send Batista to SmackDown.
Yeah, you made mention of that.
Yeah, so that'd be the way to end Evolution.
Then poor Maven never gets his run.
Who were they going to give him a run with?
They were going to, stick him before his elbow injury that kept him out of the Royal Rumble. They were going to stick him with Evolution all the way back then.
Huh.
Now he's come back and doing his old generic. I'm such a great young up and coming so on heat.
Basically a jobber.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he wins matches, but basically when he's in there with the actual caliber talent, he drops.
Yeah.
Like he did to Kane.
I suppose to be fair, he came from Tough Enough, so he can't expect to be flung into any type of role.
Well, I'm not that big of a fan of his, to be honest with you, but I know a lot of people that are, so... I really just never thought he had it. I'm still not sure how he ended up on Raw. Didn't he used to be on SmackDown?
Not still. I don't remember, because obviously, I remember the ones like, A-Train switching over and Chuck Colombo switching, and then Triple H going back. I remember that. I don't actually remember the draft before.
Right.
You see what I mean? I remember the original draft, and they split up the APA for the first time, and they gave Bradshaw a small mini push on Raw as Bradshaw, not as JBL, but as Bradshaw. I remember all that, but
Right.
the draft in between, it confuses me. They did the whole, they stopped the trading.
Well, here's why I would do it with Batista, because he had Teddy Long saying, anybody that's unhappy on Raw is welcome to come to SmackDown and I'll make a star out of you.
Yeah.
So I would not put Eugene on SmackDown. They obviously don't do well with characters, which seems to be dropping off the face of the earth. What the hell is Kenzo Suzuki seems to be just about done.
Yeah.
So every character they seem to introduce doesn't last too long. You can go back to whatever the hell, Mordecai or Makaki, whatever the hell his name was, I don't know.
Yes, you're right, Seth.
Right.
Mordecai.
I thought it was just a really bad gimmick. I don't know.
There's a UK version of or whatever, who's been around a hell of a long time. His name's Conscious, and
that's actually a better name.
And
certainly easier to spell.
Yeah. I don't know actually. I could probably spell Mordecai easier because I've typed it more times.
Right.
Anyway, and so basically, obviously, when this Conscience, he went out and did a OVW tryout camp or whatnot. He was invited over there, and that all went swimmingly and such, and he's now back in the UK or whatever. This was, I'm not sure how long ago, I read it a while ago.
Do you think they took the character?
Basically, that's what a couple of people think. Because obviously Kevin Farrakhan, I'm not sure Mordecai's real name, but the person behind the gimmick was also from OVW.
Mm.
So, but there are a hell of a lot of similarities in
I still say you should have done a Dogma type character with him. Have him come down, and confront people with their sins. Have him be the one that, I mean, I know he'd have to be on Raw to do this, but the one that would have exposed Lita as being pregnant with Kane's baby. The one that would, like, sort of like Just Joe. Like causing the sins, except being a lot more dark. And exposing people, like knowing things that nobody else could know. And of course, people get pissed at him because he's telling the truth, and there's your feuds.
Then throw in a few lies here and there.
Right. Well, maybe, yeah, that could work. But you have to have most of them be true, because people would think, how the hell does he know?
Yeah.
That would have been my thing.
Another one goes down the barrel.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, just back to Orton and Benoit. I don't think we've really mentioned Benoit once, really, apart from the way he sold the swan dive, like, boot to face.
Right. Give him credit. And Benoit was probably the best champion they've had in a long time. And I think he's going to get it again.
Oh, definitely. He should do.
I would be surprised. I don't know if it's going to get it from Triple H. I hope Triple H doesn't beat Orton for the belt, but I'm willing to bet that is what happens.
That'll happen down the line somewhere.
Yeah, I just hope Orton doesn't get a long run. I like Orton, but let's talk about why that happened. The reason for the title change, and I thought about this in depth. Brock Lesnar is going to be playing NFL football. Regardless if he starts or not, I personally don't know. I can't tell you what football talents he has. He's going to be playing American football in the NFL. And if he's on, say, Monday Night Football, right? Which is seen by a hell of a lot of people in the United States. If he's on Monday Night Football, Vince does not want the announcers to be able to say, he's the youngest WWE champion of all time. He does not want anybody to have that over him, so he found somebody that was capable, and he put the belt on him so they can't say that. And I think that's really friggin' stupid, but that's just my opinion.
That's a very a credible shout. Not one that I've heard before, so it's a fresh new consideration thrown in there. He's not obviously he's not actually the youngest champ, because I know Luthez and one other name, I can't remember who, were both younger world champions, but he is the youngest V champion, the ref champion.
Well, they want to have that. I really just don't want. I just think Vince wants to try to close the book on the Brock Lesnar era completely, and try to wipe him out of any history books.
he's sacked his wife.
What?
Or girlfriend or whatever. He's engagee.
He sacked her? What does that mean?
Sorry, sacked. As in, not sacked as in, put into bed.
Right.
Fired as in released as in.
Sable's gone again?
Yeah, Sable's gone. You should really maybe read
the internet. Right.
I
think we should try to contact Rena.
Good to.
You can give it a shot anyway.
You've had Mark, so why not Rena?
Right. Mark Merrill also available in the archives.
He is indeed.
And that was actually a really good interview, and I hope, I get the feeling not that many people checked it out, and I hope more people do, because that was really a good interview.
Yeah.
It was a fun interview.
I agree.
And we're going to have, speaking of fun interviews, we have a couple good ones coming up. We have Bonnie Steamboat confirmed for tomorrow morning. I've been talking to her for the past, over a year now. Trust me. Some people are going to look at that and think, well, what does she have to say, Trust me. She's got some stuff to say. It's going to be good. She's not as unclassy, or I shouldn't use that word, or unhinged as Missy Hyatt. But she's going to be pretty direct. You're going to enjoy that, trust me. And we're also going to try to get Ricky Steamboat to confirm for tomorrow. So no guarantees on the second one, but we do have Bonnie confirmed.
Yeah. Which
is good.
So that's coming up soon, of course. And hopefully we can get the final parts of these, of course, this interview with Magnum TA. Hopefully we can get that sorted. And as well. Hopefully our third and final part with Marty Jannetty.
Yes, indeed. I really want to get that done. Marty and I have been trading emails for the past couple months, and he seems to be really, really busy. I know he's apparently found God, which does not go along with one of the emails I got about a week ago, but I will not get into that on the air. I will tell you about it off the air, though. Quite funny email that I got that does not really go in hand with Praise Jesus. But
Okay.
we'll talk about that off the air.
But not, I mean, since we last spoke to him, not only has he found God, but he's also found Shawn Michaels.
Right.
So, last we heard, he was trying to get in touch
So he's found God and the devil.
with the Heartbreak Kid. Should be, a good addition, a good part of the interview. So.
I wonder how he's going to react. I mean, first of all, it's a good thing we got those parts about Shawn done already, because now he was completely honest then, and now he might try to protect his friend should he do another interview. So,
Yeah.
we have some things to talk about, and we will do it, and we're going to also try to get some of the ones that we've promised you for a long time up, or confirmed again. Al Snow, Chris Jericho, who's apparently now going to be sometime in September or October. But we're still trying. We're still, gonna get him. We're gonna get him. It's just a matter of when. Just a matter of when.
We don't give up.
It's like what I said, the other day when Jericho was in, well, not the other day, a couple months ago. Jericho and I were eating breakfast. And I'm sitting there having pancakes, and he opens up the door. And he says, "Who are you? And why are you eating my breakfast?" True story. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
What the heck? Did you just say you were eating Chris Jericho's breakfast?
Yes, but I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm not actually being serious right now. I don't know why I was just rambling about that.
I was listening to it as a serious story, man. What?
I was just like, I don't know why that popped in my head. Oh well.
I think the reason I listened to that seriously, because I was thinking to myself, that's a good analogy to use. Because an analogy came into my head regarding, how we chase our guests and get our interviews.
Right.
Is that it's like when a wasp is killed.
Right.
All the other wasps. And so when the wasp dies, all the other wasps, they swarm around. And they find the dead wasp.
Mm-hmm.
And they swarm around.
And the wasps eat their breakfast.
Exactly, the wasps don't eat their breakfast.
Right.
After stinging people who are nearest.
There's a post on the forum that says that the best thing about our recaps is that we're so random. And whoever wrote that post is probably having a ball right now. Because we're talking about stalking somebody eating their breakfast in their hotel room. So,
After they get stung by the wasps.
yes, so yeah, that's pretty random right there.
Quick funny story.
Okay.
Completely off track.
I have one story too that has nothing to do with wrestling as well.
Good, excellent. Let's share. First one, did you know about wasps? That when people, obviously, wasp killers and such, when there's a wasp's nest somewhere, you need obviously to bring someone in to kill it and such.
Right.
If there's one in the loft, the way they do it is they take a torch up there, they turn the light off, the loft light off, I don't know what you call it in America, do you call it a loft?
What are we talking about?
Attic or something?
Yeah, attic is probably the better term.
Top of the house, yeah.
Yes, that's pretty much called an attic here.
Excellent. I've got the terminology down straight. So you're in the attic or whatever, and you take a torch up there. You put that a nice far point, say in the opposite corner, not the opposite corner, the next corner along to the wasp's nest, and you turn it on. And all the wasps will migrate to that. So one of my friends in his old job did that. Put the torch up there, turned it on. All the wasps, they migrated to that. So they're going to that and then back to the nest, to that and back to the nest, completely ignoring the fact that he's actually standing in the other corner.
Right.
So he's standing there getting his powder ready, and he covers the wasp nest in, and so he starts powdering it. Absolutely covers it. So any of the ones that are sitting outside are dead. Anything inside, if that comes out, they're gonna die.
Right.
And apparently what you do next is you then get one big burst of that powder ready, and you whack the nest in its middle and just let the powder go. Or guy, and occasionally you get stung maybe once, maybe twice, every 10 jobs or whatever. It's not a problem. And so all the ones that were over by the torch, they're dead. All the ones that are sitting outside, they're dead. So my friend, he's done the bit where you push it in the middle, and immediately all the powder out. But he's done it slightly too slow.
Right.
So he pushed it, a couple of wasps just squeaked outside, and the torch has gone off.
Oh.
And those wasps, they're not nice.
Oh no.
There are a couple more that squeaked out the side, and a couple more squeaked out the side. And about 30 seconds later, he's been stung so many times he's fallen through the attic onto the landing below.
Ow. Yeah, this is why whenever I have a bug problem, I call somebody to come take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared of big animals. I'm not scared of bears. I'm not scared of angry dogs. Little freaking bugs scare the shit out of me. I don't want to be around little things that crawl all over you.
Do you know what the most advanced and poisonous insect is?
What?
A daddy longlegs.
Daddy longlegs.
The problem is, they haven't yet developed teeth. Harmful enough to pierce human skin.
Ah.
That's why their poison does nothing. So the second most bastards manage to grow nice and sharp teeth, we're all fucked.
Right.
Basically.
Right. That's why it's good to be an exterminator, because you know what to do.
Exactly.
Oh well.
But any day long legs, keep away from them. Shoo them out your window, brush them under the carpet, whatever, just, don't go anywhere near them with knives.
And another thing speaking of things I'm not afraid of, I was at a concert the other day, and there was this drunken idiot in the crowd, and I'm at an LA Guns and Dokken concert, and I'm standing there, and I'm whatever, dancing and singing along, and this idiot, I'm right against the rail, right up front. This idiot keeps coming up and ripping me by the shoulder and saying, "You're a big guy, throw me up on stage." And I'm like, throw you up on stage? I'm not going to do that. So, I'm ignoring him. I tell him to fuck off a couple times. He doesn't seem to be listening. And eventually, while the Phil Lewis, the lead singer of LA Guns, is standing right in front of me, this guy comes over, grabs me by the shoulder, and quite frankly, spins me. Like, as hard as he could. And I grab him by the throat. And I pull him towards me, and the guy's knees buckle, and I say, "Do you ever do that again?" I can't remember what exactly I said, but it had something to do with him being able to hit the high notes for the rest of the night. So anyway, this guy, gets up. I think he's shocked that I actually grabbed him, because, frankly, I was shocked that I did it too. I guess it was impulse, because the guy was, I didn't know if this guy's going to hurt me or something, So, a couple minutes later, I look over, and there's this guy's being inappropriate with a couple girls. Trying to touch them, and they're obviously just trying to stay away from him. My brother-in-law sees this too. My brother-in-law is a security guard, but he's not working. So I reach over, and I grab the wrist, and I pull him over, and I pull him in front, and the guy standing next to me, and my brother-in-law and I form a human wall for these two girls. A couple minutes later, I feel my head starting to get wet. So I reach up and I rip something out of this asshole's hand. I turn around, it's the same guy. I ripped the beer bottle. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. If he was trying to just embarrass me, wet down the girls' shirts, I don't know what it was. But I grabbed the bottle and I had every intention of whacking him over the head with it. But I turned around to see what it was, or who it was, and the guards had this guy's arms behind his back and they were dragging his ass out. You've heard the phrase getting thrown out before? Well, we're talking airborne this guy was when they threw him out. He was gone. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. And after the show, the security guards came over and, were punching hands saying, "Hey, good job, guys. Thanks for, trying to keep him in line." And not letting him get up on stage. Apparently, he was trying to get up on stage as well. So, you know, it was a cool experience.
How many people were at the concert?
I would say somewhere between 750 to about 1,000. It was in a fairly small venue. Somewhere around there.
I just wondered when you said you was up near the front. I was just wondering.
Well, it was, you know, the way this thing is set up, and this is what I don't understand. When I first got there was only about 200 people, and we were all, like, around the stage. And then later on in the night, like after LA Guns played, you just turn around and all of a sudden you're like, where did all these people come from? It was in a fairly small place, but, you know, there was a really good crowd there. And it was pretty crowded, and you know, the bottom line is when you go to something like that, you have to expect somebody's going to be an idiot, and you just have to hope that it's not around you. Unfortunately, when I go to these things, they seem to follow me because I have some kind of a nice disposition, I guess. I don't know. I don't carry myself like that, but I guess for some reason they think I'm somebody nice to talk to.
I imagine, you know, that it's pretty hard to carry yourself. Sorry, I like to make that, you know, a joke that I play out a bit.
Right. But, yes. Well, you know, it's an interesting experience when you go to those, when it's first come, first serve, like right up at the stage, because that's when people there are already drinking, and that's when you start to deal with people that are behaving probably like they would not behave normally, because they're just drunk, you know. They don't know what the hell they're doing anymore.
Well, I know.
I think you know, right? Right.
Funny story. Last story.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to go to bed. Actually, tell them what, I'm in bed. And then I'm going to go to sleep. Apparently, this Friday just gone. I was out. I had a few too many. Came home. You know, everything was fine. Not a problem. I haven't harassed anybody. Nobody harassed me. No issues at all. Go home. Came straight in. The way I was to answered a couple of emails, or attempted to. Didn't do a very good job of them, to be honest. Switched the computer off. Went to bed.
Right.
About 12:30.
Right.
Get up. No. Get up. Maybe an hour later, I think it was.
Right.
This is now what I've been told by my mother. This is not my recollection. Get up about an hour later, 1:30 in the morning. Go to the toilet. Instead of coming back out the toilet and going across the landing into my room, I went out the toilet, straight forward, straight down the stairs. Now my stairs go down for one landing level, and then down to the floor, to the ground floor.
Right.
And on the mini landing, apparently I then popped myself across, laid down, started trying to go to sleep. But this is not in bed, this is on the floor, on a mini landing level. And so my mum comes out of the room, because, you know, my dad's away, wherever. And my mum comes out, and she says, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I said, go away. I'm trying to go to sleep, obviously. Go away, leave me alone.
Right.
I'm still drunk.
Right.
And so she sort of picks me up and drags, sort of like pushes me up the stairs and says, okay, go back to bed. I was like, yeah, not a problem. Yeah, go on in your room, go on in your room, go get fun. Apparently this is, again, from just pure recollection of what she has, not me. I don't remember a single thing.
Right.
Next, I walk into the bathroom. I try and do the bed again. She comes out, ushers me away. I walk into the toilet. I sit on the toilet and try and go to sleep. I shut the door behind me, so she's waiting for me to come back out of the toilet, not waiting to disturb me. So 5 minutes later, I'm still in there, so she comes in. I'm sitting there, fully dressed.
Right.
Or fully, you know, dressed in night gear and stuff.
Right.
Sitting in the toilet, fully asleep. So I picked up and brought back to my room. Finally, I stay in here till the next morning. I slept at like 7 o'clock, because I always wake up early after I've been drunk. I have absolutely no recollection, and I get told the story, and I'm like, what? And apparently my sister witnessed it as well, so I don't remember it at all. So it's not people lying.
My stupidity in terms of things like this usually doesn't come from drinking, because I don't drink, but just being incredibly tired. And I've been told to have cursed off some people in my sleep. Just like, You know, somebody will walk by the room and I'll say, "Fuck you!" And I'll be like, "What?" And they'll come in and I'm like, "What's the matter?" And I'll mumble something, look pissed off, and then go back to sleep.
I always get worried when I go to sleep, because if anyone comes in and checks up on me and kind of wakes me a bit, I'll start mumbling and getting confused. Like in the morning sometimes, say you have to go to work, you know, I'll get woken up, but I'll get sort of half woken up, not completely, you know, woken up as in what an alarm clock would do.
Right.
But maybe if someone's leaving the house earlier, say bye-bye, they'll half wake up, and I'll start talking absolute crap.
Right.
But what I get worried about is when people are in the same vicinity as me as I fall asleep. I sleep talk more often than not.
Right.
And I don't know what I say when I sleep talk. So I've been wanting to record myself for a while now. I think I would do. And there's things obviously that people aren't supposed to know.
Right.
But some people still don't know about this IPW stuff.
Right.
So, you know,
Wow.
the kind of thing that I particularly, you know, I don't want sleep talking things to come up because, you know, I could be talking about what I'm dreaming about.
Right.
And whatever's weighing on your mind, you're probably dreaming about. You know, IPW's weighing on my mind, you know, whatever, you know,
Right.
random little things that might annoy you during the day might be on your mind when you go to sleep. And you could be sitting there talking absolute bollocks and just insulting someone. So if you fall asleep, say in someone else's front room or something.
Right. This, you know, it's helped since I started doing Tai Chi and things like that. But I used to have a lot of rage in me about my high school days of all the fights I had. And true story, when I was laying with my former fiance, I was laying in bed with her hand in my arms, and you know, over the night I had turned over, and I was in her house, and I punched the wall in my sleep. And she's like, "It's a good thing you were facing the other way." And I'm like, "I don't know what I was dreaming about. I must have been dreaming I had a fight." But I got really mad, and I went boom, and I woke up with like shaking my hand, and my hand was in pain. But it was like I just got really mad and just threw a punch.
Quite recently, I don't know why, but more recently I kind of end up thinking I'm going to fall off something in my dream. Or whatever. I don't know if I've got some new fear of falling off things, but I think I'm going to fall off something in my dream, and I just sort of shake, and it kind of semi-wakes me up, and that leads back into what I was saying a minute ago, where I end up talking absolute crap.
Right.
I'm half awake, and I kind of go, well, yeah, it's no, it's not early, no, it's late, no, yeah, what about, yeah, no, yeah.
Right.
I go back to sleep, because I just can't form a sentence, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right. Well, you know, the thing about it is, you know, people who said that they like our random conversations are going to love this one. That's all I have to say. SummerSlam was a great show. TNA, I've enjoyed lately. I think it's great that they signed Hardy.
And of course they're now splitting and going to you know, Impact every week and then one pay-per-view a month.
And when does that start?
A couple of months, no. Maybe even 1 month, no. But it starts definitely back end of this year. So.
Well, that's good and bad. I think it's good because I don't know how well the weekly pay-per-views are doing, and I hope that when they do this change, that they do most of it not from the asylum anyway.
Well, I mean, I think it would be a good idea personally if they did, you know, obviously Impact from Orlando every week, and then maybe the monthly pay-per-views from, you know, outside arenas. Like move it around the country.
Right, that'd be a good idea. The only thing is, can they sell out? That's what I'd be worried about.
As long as you go to a venue that's not too big.
You know, you don't want to go to MSG. You couldn't illegally anyway, but you wouldn't sell it out.
Go to somewhere slightly small.
But Vince is legal. Vince has legal title to MSG. That's why they couldn't do it. Yes.
It's for wrestling shows at least.
Right.
But yeah, as long as you go to somewhere that you make sure that they have Impact on every week, and it's not preempted, so that it's on a Sunday morning on, you know, Sky News, Fox, Z Sports 3 at 3:30 AM or something. You know,
right.
Channel. Make sure it's syndicated at the same time every week. It's not preempted, and you know, they actually show it.
I've only been preempted once, and that was when they fired the coach of our baseball team. and it was preempted, and I only missed about a half hour of it, but it sucked because I didn't get to see it, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
But yeah, do that, and then see if the area also has explosions as well. If that runs on your list, and then make sure that...
Yeah, but then they'd be stuck pretty much to just a somewhere around Tennessee, because I don't think Explosion has that big of a distribution.
I mean, honestly, it wouldn't be a major thing, because if they run Impact, then I'd say people are more likely to watch Impact than Explosion. But say Explosion, still on, still airs at that time.
Wait.
But of course, they've now run the same Explosion for 3 weeks.
Have they?
Yep, they've taped 2 new Explosions, but the tape, I knew the first time round, it was reported that the tracking on the tape was so poor they couldn't air it. And maybe could be the same second time round, but obviously they've taped these Explosion matches. And then they've...
go to the supermarket and pay $1 for a new tape if it's broken. I mean, this is logic.
And can I just say one thing?
What?
Former guest of the show, Jarrell Grant,
Yes?
back on TNA.
Yes.
He lives in Orlando, just let you know.
Is he okay?
Why he maybe used, not on Impact a lot. He lives in Orlando.
I hope he's okay, because they just got hit with a pretty big storm.
Ah, did they?
They got hit with Hurricane Charlie.
Oh, yeah, of course. That was the one that sent a few shows over the weekend.
And then Shane Helms was standing somewhere, and he said, "Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through." Sorry.
Stand back, Charlie's coming through.
Right, okay.
So, yeah.
I couldn't do a list with the word Charlie, though.
Yeah. And, so, what did you think of the Battle Royale?
It was good, except it didn't make much sense. The week before, Michael Shane said, and I quote, "Frankie and I will never wrestle each other for this belt." And they were going to ensure that they wouldn't wrestle each other by having Kazarian be the first guy and Shane being the last guy. It came down to the final 4, and those 2 were then eliminated. I thought it should have come down to those 2. And they should have refused to wrestle, and Vince Russo comes out pulling his hair, and, whatever. And then they have to make a decision, and they keep the belt on them. Play it up a little bit. It just was too quick, I think.
They've given it across to Petey Williams now. So.
Well, it's good for Petey, but still, it hurts the belt to have changed it so many times.
I agree.
Right.
The titles that mean the most, probably in major federations in America now.
Right.
Let's say TNA, Ring of Honor, and all that. The Ring of Honor title.
Right.
Samoa Joe, who's had it for an absolute age.
Right.
And then the Intercontinental and World titles.
Right.
They've been, that one, the World title and World's been built up by Triple H for such a long time that when it's changing now, it means something. And the IC titles with Randy Orton for so long that, he's had it and it means something, and now he's the world champ.
Right.
So, it's natural progression. Longevity and quality of bouts while defending are the key. Because, of course, Big Show had the US title for an age and defended it once.
Right.
Second defense. Not just longevity, it's the quality of defense at the same time. So.
Right. And Benoit brought a lot of quality to the belt. I mean, he had great matches even on Raw. I mean, what champion in recent history has had matches like his match with Michaels and his Iron Man match on Raw? It wasn't just his pay-per-view main events that you look at when you talk about his great title defenses. You look at the Raw main events as well.
Oh yeah, you're definitely preaching to converted. I'm 100% sold.
What?
That's what you're preaching to convert, that are converted.
Right.
I mean, I'm sold on that one. So.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Well, I've always been a fan, but I wasn't sure he could hold the world title, and now I admit he deserved it. I will not bite the bullet and say that London will ever be a world champion, though. And the same goes for Shelton Benjamin, who Dave Scherer will insist to the day he dies is a future world champion. I just don't see it.
Could be here in 2 years' time.
Well, maybe in 2 years' time, but I don't see it. I don't see his obvious charisma. I don't see it. I see Jericho's obvious. Yeah, but I see Jericho's obvious charisma, but they're not doing anything with him.
I see Orton's obvious charisma.
Oh, this kid, he's going to be great. I just don't think he's there yet, unfortunately.
And just to point out to everyone who doesn't know, I was the first person to ever interview Randy Orton.
Where can we read that?
I'll get it. I'm going to put it on the site. I'm going to throw it up as a news post on the site.
On TII?
Yeah, I'll whack it on just on the news board, just as a funny little thing. And I'm going to revisit it, and I'm going to plug it, and I'm going to have people read it. You know, I was the first. When everybody else deserted, yeah, I was there.
How old was he when you did this?
This was about 2-3 years ago.
So he was only 22, 21.
Yeah, possibly a bit younger.
Wow. So this was even before he made his WWE debut?
Yep, but at that point he'd only had one match on Heat with Billy Gunn.
Did he lose?
He did. But he was fresh off of it, so he was, talking about that a lot, so.
Are they making a new WWE game for PlayStation?
Yes, they are. Raw vs. SmackDown.
That should be good. Because I've been playing the Here Comes the Pain and Legends of Wrestling too much, and I want a new one. So, that'll be interesting to see that. I'm just curious to see who they'll put in the level, because the last one, it would seem odd to me to put Rock as the big guy on the game. Because he's barely been there, and of course Stone Cold's gone.
Apparently. Apparently The Rock in this game is there as a legend.
Legend?
Yeah. So, how they have, Andre the Giant, etc. They've got The Rock in the Legends part. And you can select him as Rock from how he is now with his hair and his tattoo, or Rocky Maivia, when he just sort of perverted himself to The Rock, and he had the long sideburns.
Right. That's the Rock I knew and loved.
Sure.
That's the Rock I loved. That's like when you talk about Ozzy. The Ozzy I love is the guy that was driven insane in a heroin-induced rage and shot all his cats. That's the Ozzy I love. He's a maniac. Not the guy you see on MTV throwing a ham through a window. I want to think of Ozzy as the maniac, not the guy walking behind a dog and cleaning up dog shit, But okay.
Yeah,
okay.
If he can do it, transformation. He's English.
Right, yes, he is English. Unfortunately, I don't understand a word he says, but I don't think that has to do with him being English. I think it's more of years and years and drugs abuse.
My friend Mark could do a wonderful impression of him. Mark, a.k.a. Ginny from 3FWforums.com.
Yes, I've seen him.
You have? Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
Well, I saw him online. At least Rick was telling me you talked to him online. Rick Clark apparently yelled at somebody online on the forums. Did you see that?
No.
He yelled at...
I haven't seen much recently. I've been kind of absent from the forums I've really not been around. I think I've made about 10 posts in about 2 weeks.
Well, check out Rick's posts towards Mattitude version 1.
I will do so.
Hysterical.
Oh.
People say Rick went too far. I think they're funny as hell. But, I'm not allowed to post, so I didn't say anything. I just kind of sat there. It was like, Rick took a page out of my book, let's put it that way. Okay? And then I think we should end this show. You want to hear Summertime Blues?
Well, since you said you were going to do it, and since it's been a summertime recap, may as well.
Because there ain't no cure like this. There ain't no cure for the Summertime Blues.
Well, that's all, folks. You have made it to the end of another video here on the Wrestling Epicenter channel. If you liked what you heard, please click the like button and leave a comment telling us what you think. And consider subscribing. It helps us more than you know. Thank you.